The most immaculate village you've ever seen, carved from stone. He looks at you and Momo and says, I took off enough. I am not going to be taking off my pants. You hear him crack every single part of his body like, ah! Am I alive? Or is this hell? I can't tell anymore. I've met morons. The water begins circling Momo. You, the baby, and the orc are all standing in the mine with Flood and Momo possessed by dark water. Their eyes glowing red through the dark water, and you see Momo be put down. And then you hear them both speak in unison. We are Legion. We are Shamalo. And the baby begins to freak out and talk to you about Shamalo. And you hand the baby over to the orc and tell them to get out of the way, for this is your fight. Sir Flood begins walking towards you. The baby and the orc are out of the way.
And I just let him walk towards me.
He pulls his sword.
I let him pull his sword. Ooh. I say this spell. I say, Aaron Wind, help me out. Cage this man, don't let him out. That was a big fart.
So you say that, and you hear the air fart, and you feel the gas from your question begin to surround you, and you become unfocused, and you don't see anything happening in the moment. But you can hear in the back of your mind, you hear, Veritas is the answer. This is what you seek. This is the only way to truly save your friends. You have no idea where the sound came from. It was as if it came from the back of your mind. You don't recognize the voice.
So am I fast?
You're a fairy, yeah, you're really fast.
So I fly up.
It's Flood's turn now. He's still approaching you, his sword drawn, and he's about to strike you. Momo is running at you.
Can I go now?
Yes.
I fly up really, really fast. Not super high, but just above them where his sword can't reach me if he were to swing it up. And I just start flapping my wings really, really fast. So fast you can barely tell if they're going. You can't see them. And all of this just keeps spraying all over, more than I've ever made before.
You go up and you're flying around really, really fast, but you're realizing that you're not producing as much fairy dust to hit the boys as you would like. Momo, sprinting past, is jumping out of the way, trying to get at you, and Sir Flood is looking at you and trying desperately to hit you with his sword. Momo is currently using the Chihuahua knife, the Chihuahua blade. Sir Flood manages to get up just high enough to nick your leg, while Momo gets up just high enough to hit one of the lights on the ceiling and miss you by 2/3 of a hair. Momo is now on his butt on the ground with a broken nose. And you can hear Dark Momo going, and you just see Sir Flood look down at him, and you see a dog run over and start like attacking Momo, not in an aggressive way, but attention, as she begins like pattering him. You are still in the air. You have a cut leg. You are slightly bleeding. But so far, you are still flying. Your plan can still work if you try harder.
I take my hand and reach back on one of my wings and get fairy dust and put my hand where Flood cut me to stop the bleeding.
You manage to stop the bleeding, and you can feel every twinge of your flesh mending as the blood starts to circulate back into your body, and the cut begins to aggressively heal as the dog begins to ferociously like pet on Momo, and you begin looking at the dog and asking if it wants to go home.
Yeah.
The baby is calling out for Mama, and Sir Flood hears the noise of the baby and looks towards where the orc and the baby are hiding. Momo begins getting up, holding his bloody nose, and goes, "I wanna get you!" And the dog does not like his voice. Momo managed to get up.
I see them looking towards the baby, so I remember Flood teaching me how to make a water ball, or whatever he calls it. And I start trying to make one so I can throw it at him to get his attention back on me.
You begin to form water ball, and you form it really well, but instead of hitting Sir Flood, your aim is off by 100 miles, and you hit the orc in the face and knock him down. The orc and the baby are now on the ground. The orc now has a missing tooth. He has a missing tooth and a missing arm, and you're sitting there hitting him in the face with water. He's now also wet, so is the baby. The baby cannot fly away. The orc is holding his mouth with the baby's hand going, "Oh."
I try to aim better.
You manage to aim and hit Flood 7 times on the back with the water ball, causing 72 damage and knocking Sir Flood to his knees. Sir Flood is knocked to his knees and is struggling to get back up. But he manages to do so and turns around and casts black water over his sword. And Momo, after getting up and seeing Sir Flood go down, runs towards you where you are casting a water ball and jumps at you. And he manages to tap one of your wings. And you take 6% of damage.
I falter a little bit, scared. So as he does that, I I kind of go down a little bit. And as I'm going down, I'm scared but I'm making the water ball. And my arms move and the water goes over me like a shield.
You manage to get it over yourself and perform a water barrier over yourself, but Momo manages, as he jumped and did it, you faltered trying to get it completely up. So the only things that are not completely covered by the water barrier is your backside. Your wings, the back of your legs, the back of your head, all of that is uncovered by the water barrier. Momo has like landed, and Sir Flood walks towards you with his sword in hand and manages to strike the water barrier, doing 51 damage to the barrier itself. If there's another 50 or 49 to 50 more damage taken, your shield will officially be destroyed.
Okay.
Momo looks at Sir Flood hit the shield and jumps up to strike it. Manages this time to hit the top of his head on one of the lights and goes like as he falls back to the ground, hitting the same spot where the dog was. You just hear it go.
All of a sudden I get starting to get mad, not only at myself but at them for not snapping out of it. So in my, I don't want to say anger, but in my anger, I like take all the strength of my body and I just push all of like the air, cause like air, I can to just throw them back and hopefully it does something.
You manage to move the air, but not enough to push them back. You manage to blow some of Momo's hair back, and Sir Flood's cape begins to flutter a little bit, but they do not go flying back, nor did they really sense that you did anything. They feel like a breeze just finally came down the mine, like they finally got some fresh air. Sir Flood begins walking towards you as you just... Momo and Sir Flood both walk towards you as you blow the wind, and Sir Flood trips over Momo as Momo gets to you.
I take a deep breath, try to recollect myself, and do the wind thing one more time.
The same thing as before, but a little bit stronger. This time Momo can tell that you're the one that's doing the air, but this time you kind of dried up his eyes a little bit. Goes to strike you, but instead misses you completely because his eyes are so dry and he can't see at the moment. All his vision is blurry, his eyes are dry, and he swings at you and misses, and somehow manages to accidentally let go of his Chihuahua dagger and throw it at Flood, striking Flood in the throat. causing 53 damage. Sir Flood is dead. You hear in the back as his armor and the black water begin to drop off of him. The black water dissipates, his black armor falls off, and Momo's eyes turn back to brown. The water falls off of him. The baby gets excited, and Sir Flood lies dead in the mine.
I fly over to Flood and start crying, and I give him a little tiny fairy hug. And as I'm crying, my tears fall off and hit the spot, and it's like little light when it hits him.
Your tear hits Sir Flood, but nothing happens. Sir Flood lays there, slowly dying, with a dagger in his throat, and you see the orc and the baby wander over. The baby is excited to see that the battle is done, but doesn't understand that Sir Flood has died. And Momo wanders over with
Luna, what are you
wanders
doing?
over and opens up Sir Flood's backpack and grabs a healing potion. Finds a premium healing potion that immediately restores 52% of his health with an additional 35. Sir Flood pulls the dagger out of his throat as he is being healed and manages to jump out the words, that was horrifying. And both him and Momo remember exactly what they did, and they could not do anything to stop it. Both of them watched in horror, like an out-of-body experience, as they began attacking two of the people that mean the world to them. And Sir Flood manages to sit up. His armor that had fallen off of him begins to vibrate and then throws itself all back onto him and hits him like the Iron Man scene where where Tony Stark is trying to test out his armor flying to him, and he gets hit in the face, hit in the arm, hit in the wrist, hit in the groin. He's like, is hit every single place by all of his armor that fell off. You can definitely tell that this is very uncomfortable because it's like the armor opened up like a mouth and just grappled onto him. When they said only in death may that armor come off, man, they mean it. Momo also takes a healing potion. This one is not premium. And heals himself 77% and is doing way, way better. His nose is still broken and bloody, but like he's no longer on the verge of death. He's doing a lot better. You feel that he would feel better after a night's rest. And maybe a night with Arlene.
Well, I'm happy to have you guys back. I throw a water ball at Flood's face.
You manage to throw the water ball, but it's not as big as before. It's about the size of a pin shape, and you throw it, and it hits him square in the mask. He's like, I've never been more happy for a helmet in my life, even if it's cursed. Sir Flood then looks to you, Momo, the orc, and the baby, as a dog begins to terrorize his foot, and says, I'm sorry for what happened just now. It was like I was possessed.
Pretty sure I told you not to get that armor there, Flood.
Momo looks at you and Flood and everybody and says, Momo thought he was possessed too. Momo had no control over his actions. It was like I was here, but I wasn't here. Momo confused. And the orc wanders up next to you and asks, who is Shamalo? And you watch as Sir Flood says Shamalo is the ancient dragon god that we are here to stop from being resurrected.
Well, that's great.
How do you know that name? And Sir Flood is looking at the orc and you, and the orc is doing kissy faces with the baby and answers, you both said it. You said you are Legion, and you are Shamalo. And you can see through the helmet, Flood's eyes go wide. And you can tell that you and Momo and Flood are failing the quest. Meaning, Drac has amassed enough souls that Shamalo is able to project back into the mortal realm.
This isn't good.
Momo and Flood both look at you and say, it is not good. It is, as you've taught us, a horrible, terrible, awful, stinking, bad, terrible decision that we have absolutely no choice left to make. We have to get to Drac. And Momo looks at the orc and says, Is there anything else that we can do? And the orc goes, well, the miners are still gone. I know that the mine also ends up over near Blumstill if you guys want to help me clear it. Make sure that all the miners are okay if they're not all, like, in here.
Kind of the best option we got, guys.
You, Momo, and Flood all begin walking in front of the orc and the baby as the baby begins playing with the plastic on the orc's chest plate and realizing there isn't plastic in this world. You look back at him only to see him staring straight forward with a bloody mouth and a missing arm. You, Flood, and Momo are the hell that came for this orc.
Let's go, guys.
You all begin wandering down the mine shaft, and you manage to see bloodstains on the walls of the mine, and the baby screams after seeing everything, and the baby screams and gets excited while running down, not understanding what's going on. She feels like she's on a roller coaster ride, even though it doesn't exist in this universe. And you, Flood, and Momo, and the orc all see blood on the walls of the cave, some red, some green, and strangely enough, one that is golden. And the orc looks at you all and walks over to the golden blood and puts his hand on it and says, I know of only one person who bleeds gold. If they are bleeding this much or lost this much blood, then my brother is dead. And you all begin wandering further into the mine, and you begin to hear noises in the back. You hear, why did you leave? You're gonna die down here. Come join us. You will make it out alive. As the dog begins to not like the interaction with the noises and begins freaking out and rubbing up against Sir Flood's leg and goes underneath Momo and picks up Momo. Somehow the dog is able to pick up Momo. And you watch as the dog is carrying Momo. You're gingerly flying right beside everybody. The orc is holding the baby and Sir Flood is just walking. And you all get lower into the mine after hearing the noises. You guys hear them for another couple minutes. And then you hear one last one that goes, "Brother, run." You manage to get down further into the mine, and you, being able to fly, are able to avoid the mine dropping off. You can just fly right down. Momo, Flood, and the orc all have to hop down. And Momo jumps first and lands directly on his face. Sir Flood hops down next and lands on his butt. The orc sees the ladder, attempts to go towards it, and trips halfway down and lands on his back. You hear all three of them go like, ah, oh, as all of them hit at different times. All of them are recovering very slowly from their different places of hitting. Momo's broken nose is bleeding again. and you manage to just fly down. Everybody else hurt themselves, and you are in a big cavern, probably the middle cavern where they were currently digging, and you see nothing, you hear nothing. You don't even hear the sounds of the mine. You flew in here and the entire room went dead silent. You don't hear anything other than the baby crying. Sir Flood gets up and he hears, "It's that way." Momo gets up and, like you, it is pure emptiness and soundless. He hears and sees nothing. The orc and the baby get up and they hear, "You need to run. It's coming." And Sir Flood and the orc stare at each other and do nothing. As a giant Jimbersaw crawls out of the wall and approaches you by falling on a rock that was directly under it and getting pierced in the head.
Well, that was lucky.
You all begin wandering forward. Momo keeps hitting his shins on rocks because he can't see nothing. He keeps hitting them on stalactites or magtites or whatever they're called. And at one point he finds one that's just right and whacks his crotch on it and has to keep moving. He's like, and just keeps wandering forward. Momo has just hit his crotch and you hear the sound, and then Flood, the orc, keeps stomping down the stalactites, and you're just flying over everything. You all get to the end of the mine and discover that it is blocked off. It is boarded up. Whoever was on this side didn't want something to get into Blumstill.
Well, Flood, you could chop it down.
Flood pulls his sword and attempts to chop it. And he manages to get his sword stuck in the banister above his head.
That's not what I said to do.
He is sitting there pulling at his sword while the baby cries. The Momo looks at him pulling his trying to pull his sword out and gets behind him and puts his arms behind his waist, and he helps to pull and manages to pull Flood really well and pulls the sword out of the banister. The orc, while holding the baby, goes, "Whatcha!" and punches the board in front of him and manages to break part of the board. You hear it crack. Flood just got his sword out of the banister and strikes at it again and gets it stuck in the banister again. Momo watches and says, "You know what? I got this," and twirls his armor beads and goes to strike at the board in front of him and completely misses and punches
No.
Momo has punched Sir Flood in the butt. It sounds also like plastic. You don't know why. This is supposed to be cloth and metal and apparently made in Taiwan. And you look to the orc who is striking the board again and manages to completely break a board.
Woo!
All three of them look at you.
Go orc, go orc. Woo, woo, woo.
The orc, still holding the baby, puts his arm and crosses his only remaining arm and makes it look like he's crossing his other arm too. So he's like this. MoMo and Flood are also looking at you and do the exact same thing of crossing their arms. And you see Momo start tapping his foot.
Oh, come on. Hype him up a little bit, guys. You just did it.
Both Momo, Flood, and the orc say, "Your turn."
No, that's okay. You guys got this.
Sir Flood grabs you and manages to hit you into the board, breaking a board entirely. He hands you to Momo, and Momo manages to completely miss and hit you through the already broken board.
I'm through. It's your guys' turn.
Momo pulls you back through the hole and hands you to the orc, and the orc takes you and hits you into another board and crack it in half.
I take water and throw it at both of their faces.
You manage to hit them both in the chest. You splash the baby with water. Sir Flood punches the other board and snaps it the rest of the way, breaking it in half. Momo goes and hits the other board and ends up hitting it wrong. Instead of hitting it straight on, he hit with his knuckle and his hand went like this, and he just slammed his wrist, and the baby sees his wrist pop and starts crying, and the orc goes and hits it and manages to scare the baby as he hits it with the wrong arm. He hits it with his missing arm. And then they all look at you again. There is 2 more boards remaining. They all look at you and wait for what you will do, since there are only 2 boards left to break to get out towards Blumstill.
I just look at them back.
Sir Flood grabs you again and manages to break another board. Hands you to Momo. And
Momo, if you throw me, I am not sharing any of my food with you.
Momo manages to hit you into a board, but with too little force, and he just whacks you against the wall, essentially, and hands you to the orc, who manages to hit you into a board and dent it. Hands you back to Flood, and Flood manages to do the exact same thing that Momo did, and then he hands you to Momo, and Momo hits you back into the same exact board in the exact same place in the exact same way, and then hands you over to the orc, and the orc manages to hit you into the board again and dent it a little further, and passes you back to Flood, who does the exact same thing as the orc, and then hands you to Momo, who manages finally to hit you through the board, the last remaining board for you guys to be able to crawl through.
So I had to do all the work. Thanks, guys.
Yes, you have taken 100 damage. You are currently dead. You are currently dead. Sir Flood looks at your mangled body and gives you a health potion with an additional, which heals you 50% and gives you an extra 18%. You are back up to 68% health. You will be, it looks at you and says, you'll be better after a night's rest.
Show you a night's rest.
You don't manage to convince him that you'll show him a good night's rest. He thinks that you're being like, oh, so you'll make my bed for me? How generous of you. Doesn't realize that you were just threatening him. And you, Flood, Momo, and the baby all walk out of the mine, and the orc stays behind and says, I have to find the rest of my people. My brother, my family, I have to find them. I will remain in the mine and search for them.
Well, you know where to find us if you need us.
And he goes and gives you a pinky finger to shake, shakes Momo's hand, and then that scene in the very first original Predator where Arnold and the one general dude go and clasp hands. He walks over to Flood and says, "You son of a bitch!" And they like clasp hands and flex their muscles. With his one remaining arm, they like flex their muscles and all that. And then they let go and says, "Take care of them." And slaps him on the shoulder and says, "You find your family." And slaps him on his like missing arm, and you just hear the arc go, as he begins wandering back into the mine after getting slapped on a missing limb with a metal glove. And you, Momo, the baby, are all just outside of Blumstill. And you all begin wandering towards the city blanketed in darkness.